I'm Egbert, the owner of this station. Check out my website at egbert.com. That's EGGBURT, egbert.com. Now it's back to Brad and John. Check out their website at bjshow.co. The BJ Show? Come on, guys. Anyway, here's B and J.
From time to time, I will send John articles that I read, because I do a lot of reading during the day and at night and stuff like that. I'll send John things that I think are sort of interesting that maybe we could talk about, talking points. And most of the time, I think I'm scooping John, and I send him something, and he'll say, oh, I had that 2 weeks ago. I'm thinking to myself, man, is this guy good? I sent you something yesterday about this crazy situation in St. Charles County between, and it almost like sounds like some kind of a store, Costlow Cashlow, or Caflow, isn't it? Costlow, the one dude's name is Costlow, Costlow, which sounds like the name of a store, doesn't it? Hey, come to Costlow. It
does, yeah.
Where all our prices are low because we keep our costs low. And Caflow, okay? And they're both running for state rep. Do you know the district in St.
Yeah, let me look it up real quick. Max Calfo. It's the former, it's District 108. So it was formerly Representative Justin Hicks, who is running in the 3rd Congressional District now, Brad.
Right. And this is essentially what? St. Peter's? It's
Lake St. Louis.
Lake St. Louis. Okay. They're in court again. Okay, do you know this whole crazy, weird story? Do you know what's going on with this?
Yeah, you explained it to me before because it was covered by West News Magazine, but I think you know it better than I do, Brad.
Well, I don't quite understand, and there are times, and one of those times was yesterday, which I maybe should talk to you about off air. Oh, I won't mention it on there. Okay. I'm not like John, where John's extremely well connected. If you mention Rudy Zingwinger, who was a representative 22 years ago from the 46th Congressional District.
It was 47. It was District 47.
See, John knows these people. Okay. Occasionally, I have conversations with people that are really, really, really very important kind of people. And first off, I think that they have guts for talking to me because they're going down in the world or stuff like that.
They are not, and you should stop talking like that, but go ahead.
Okay. It was brought up to me that this Costlow dude is really a good dude. And this is someone, and I can't say who because it was a off the record conversation. This is someone who has, to me, one of the highest levels of honesty, and I mean, if anything, this guy is a Boy Scout. Okay, I mean, he is truly a Boy Scout.
I got you.
In the respect that he's like Mr. Straight down the middle. He doesn't, divvy off into this area or going like that. He said the Costlow guy is one of the best people he's ever been around. Now, is it Caflow or
Calfo?
Calfo.
Calfo, yeah.
Apparently, this guy is like constantly in court against Costlow. And the story I sent you yesterday was essentially it got thrown out in St. Charles County Court. Was it yesterday morning, or was it over the weekend?
It was sometime recently. Yeah, to be clear, what you sent me, I believe, was a Facebook post from Costlow, right?
It was, yes.
Okay.
Right.
So it wasn't a news story, but it was his version of what happened.
Right. And essentially what happened was the candidate A is trying to get candidate B in trouble by dragging him through the court system. And I'm going like, I don't understand this kind of thing. I'm a guy, hold on a minute. I'm a guy that has a tremendous amount of respect for the legal system. But yet there's a point, if you've ever been involved in the legal system, nothing happens quickly. I mean, everything moves along at a snail's pace. And that's one of the frustrations I have is that, let's say, and I'll give you my stupid example, John's going to roll his eyes again. Let's say all of a sudden Chevy announced that they have a huge order for their GMC Savannah van they're making out in Wentzville, okay? And rather than say, well, it's going to take 8 months to get this order done, General Motors would say, you know what? We're running one shift right now. We're going to put on a second shift. And if we can't get enough production out of that second shift, we're going to put on a third shift. We're going to run that factory 24/7.
Yep.
Why doesn't the legal system do that? Why is the legal system to the point? Years ago, I had a client, a guy who was running for judge in Franklin County. And I can't remember his name. And his ad was very well done. His ad started about, he says, I'm so-and-so for judge in Franklin County, circuit court or whatever. He says, have you ever walked the courthouse on a Friday afternoon? He says, I have. You know what you'll find? Empty courtrooms. Nobody in those courtrooms. Why is it that everyone complains about the legal system is so bogged down and it's so overburdened, but yet on Friday afternoon, there's no court cases going on? If you elect me, we'll get that docket moving. We'll get court cases on Friday afternoon. Matter of fact, we'll do court cases at night. And people went, oh my God, court cases at night. See, this is what I don't understand.
Here's the solution to that, Brad, and this is what the liberal media, and that's trademark liberal media, and progressives had been saying for years, which is the solution to that is if we provide more funding to our public defenders, then we can hire more public defenders and we can reduce the current workload of public defenders. Now, I don't think there's anybody, again, I'm not an attorney, I don't think there's anybody who could look at the stats around public defender workload and say that public defenders that are currently hired and on staff are not overworked and don't have too many cases. So I think it's easy to say, well, we just need to have the courts running more often. But you have to have. I mean, I think there's an argument to be made that if you're indigent or you need a public defender, then you have a right to representation, and you can't just force these public defenders to work more hours.
Well, now you're assuming these are all criminal cases, which would be a public.
I am, yeah, but that's still an important piece of it, Brad.
Right, and I happen to know someone who at one point in time was a high muckety-muck in the public defender's office, and they told me stories that made I just went, whoa. I mean, to the point where it comes back to, if you watch any of the police shows, you watch any of the YouTube videos, when they give the Miranda rights, the line is, if you can't afford an attorney will be appointed for you. That's the public defender, okay? Yeah. And in most states, and Missouri is no exception, they're called other things in other states, but in Missouri they're called public defenders. They are overworked and under budgeted. I mean, and once again, this is a constitutional right. People jump up and down about, the Second Amendment. It's a constitutional right. Essentially, it's a constitutional right that you have legal representation if you get arrested. But yeah. And once again, the thing that gets me about this is that, and you made reference to the fact this is criminal cases. This is also civil cases. I can tell you about me personally. I know of a case that's been going on for 4 years, and it just keeps plodding along and moving along. And to a certain extent, that's why and like I gave you the example. I don't know if I told you this story. I had to make a filing last week before last. I went to the St. Charles County courthouse on a Wednesday, okay? And I say to the sheriff's deputies who are running the checkpoint Charlie, I say, are you guys open Friday? No, we're closed on Friday. So once again, Friday after 4th of July was not a legal holiday. They just declared it a holiday. So when I got down to the clerk's office, the clerk informed me, hey, by the way, we close at 1 o'clock today. And I'm going like, what is this? You've already got a 4-day weekend and you're closing early on Wednesday? See, this is the mentality that drives me nuts. And maybe it's because of the fact that I work 7 days a week, and for the most part, I do. And I don't understand, when I hear the thing about 3-day or 4-day school, because this is incrementalism. And one of my favorite terms, incrementalism, okay? You don't make broad sweeping changes. You make changes very slow, to the point where it's like, what's the old saying?
It's a frog in the pot of boiling water.
Exactly. So in other words, let's say they got it, the NEA and NFT got, the school system in the state of Missouri to go to 4-day. Then they go, well, you know what? We only want to do 3 days. And pretty soon they're into, as John said in one of our previous shows, the school system is in the Sunday school mode where they're going to school
one day a week.
1 day a week. It just drives me nuts.
Now, Brad, this is our second consecutive day where we've started B Block with your comments about work ethic. Where you could also plug Gary V's statement about the decline of civilization,
right,
as you did yesterday, and folks should go back and listen to that in B Block. You can listen to our YouTube videos. And also, Brad, I think the St. Charles County Courthouse, the biggest problem is people getting on the elevator to go one floor up. Like, who steps on an elevator and doesn't just take the stairs? We're all 20 years old, Brad. We can all jog backwards, get a little hamstring work the gastroc, the soleus. Those are the two muscles of the calf. They're a little different. They have different functions based on the angle of the knee. But why can't you just run backwards up the stairs, Brad?
John, because I've got a broken heart,
a broken
phalange. No, hold it. No.
Phalange is such an underappreciated word.
Phalange is the bones in the hand. What's the bones in the feet? Is it
metatarsals?
Metatarsals. I have broken metatarsal. Okay. Now, I'm going to go ahead and tell this story on the air, and I just want to clear this with John, because John and I have gotten to an understanding that what makes this show different is that we're not like every other show where, like, for example, on 97.1, where you can listen in the morning, you can listen in the afternoon, you can listen in middays, and you can hear Andrew Bailey on all those times. Okay,
yes.
We've gotten to the point where we're not having anybody on the air. We're not calling guests or anything like that. But yesterday, I had a interesting phone call from a lady that you know, Mary Elizabeth Coleman. And
She happened to call you?
Yes, she did.
What prompted that, Brad?
Well, interestingly enough, she wants to buy some advertising on the station.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay. How did that come about?
I don't know how to clear it. Probably from you, but that's probably how it came.
No, I shouldn't be flip about it. Go ahead, Brad.
Okay, but here's the interesting thing. She said she was headed up to Milwaukee last night, and she said, why don't you, if you want, I'd be more than happy to go on the air and tell you about what's going on with the convention. Well, since she just got there last night, I'm thinking to myself, I don't want to talk to her today, and I'll text her, see if this is okay. Would you be interested in having her on tomorrow briefly just to talk about
Absolutely. Yeah, and to talk about the convention,
right,
for sure.
Right, because of the fact that this is turning into a historic event in many different ways. And, first off, I shouldn't do this, but once again, I'm not going to say who sent me this, but this will give you an idea of how everybody's off, how they look at different things. Okay, hold it. A nurse friend of mine texted me yesterday. Okay, you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Okay, we need to hook Donald up with a wound care nurse that can get him a flesh-colored bandage, but I guess they're going for effect. Okay, I'm thinking to myself, if I were Donald Trump, I would have come out with my head bandaged with one of those bands that goes around your head.
Brett, I thought the exact same thing this morning.
I'd go out there and I'd make sure that, I had a little bit of blood leaking through the bandage, and I'm here, and you know what, and I'm here with you. And people go, yeah!
100%. And let's point out, this is a good time to point out, that Donald Trump is a WWE Hall of Famer. Like, Donald Trump knows how to sell an injury.
But see, what's interesting about that is that you being a WWE guy, how many dozen times was Donald Trump on WWE? He was on
a lot. I mean, he's been since the 1980s, and early WrestleMania was held at Trump Tower,
right,
or the Trump Casino, I should say.
And one of the videos I've seen is him going at it with what's his name, the guy
Vince McMahon.
Vince McMahon.
It was a hair versus hair match.
Yes, and they're literally going at each other. Okay, now one other thing. Okay. And I'm not going to attribute this to any particular person. Once again, me having correspondence, or actually in this case, talking to someone on the phone, and this was a woman that said this to me. Once again, if you are a little bit sensitive, if you have kids in the car, you may want to turn the radio down for the next minute. Okay, a woman said to me. And if you go back and look at the pictures of Donald Trump being escorted off the stage, there is a lady Secret Service agent who is the closest to the crowd. And she said to me, I wonder if Trump groped that Secret Service agent when he was on the floor at the stage. And I said to this person, I said, I can't believe you just said that. You're a woman. And of course, she hates Trump. She's like a dyed-in-the-wool Democrat.
Yeah. Well, she wasn't talking about the one that looked like Melissa McCarthy, right?
Yes.
Like the pudgy one that couldn't holster her. Was she talking about that one?
Yes, but see, but see, the interesting thing on that one is, and I talked about this on the air yesterday that
you did not.
I have a friend of mine who is former special forces and the whole bit, and he said the problem with women as Secret Service agents was a perfect example. Did I talk about this on the air yesterday?
No.
He said, and once again, the same picture. He said the Secret Service agents in their first duty, which they executed, flawlessly, shots rang out. They're on top of him. They are human shields. They are essentially risking their lives, essentially saying the bullet goes through me before it goes through the president. Okay, and then if you know the whole chain of events, it was they yelled out shoot her down, shoot her down. So then the point came to the point where it had to go the egress, the extraction. They had to get him off the stage into the bulletproof Tahoe and off to the hospital. Okay. As they're moving him across the stage, the woman is in the front. And Trump's a big guy. He's, 6'3", something like that, 6'3", 6'4"? And she is not. And his point was, this is a perfect example where women do not meet the criteria for being a Secret Service agent because he was exposed because she wasn't tall enough.
And it would be the same if the guy was 5'6".
Exactly.
It'd be the same thing.
Exactly. And if you look at the picture to the right of Trump, that Secret Service agent, he's a big dude because he looks every bit as tall, maybe even a little bit taller than Trump. So the idea being was, if you're going to pick a detail that is going to ultimately protect someone like that and essentially form a human shield, wouldn't the criteria be that all the dudes are at least like 6 feet tall?
Yeah, of course it would.
But
you know what, Brad? Why can't we have a little bit more diversity? Why can't we have diversity in gender and height and ethnicity and orientation?
I'm the guy.
You're undermining the value of DEI in a Secret Service detail.
I'm the guy who says all the time, whatever a man can do, a woman can do better.
Isn't true, but that is your phrase, yeah.
I grew up with a mother who was frustrated by the fact that women were subjugated to men who ruled the world, and that's not the case anymore. Thank God for that. But at the same point in time, there are roles and positions and jobs where a dude is going to be better than a woman. I said it. I'm sorry, but that's just the case.
Like Olympic swimming, a dude will always be better than a woman. Or track and field. There's something that requires strength and speed. You're right, Brad. A man will always be better than a woman.
Or weightlifting.
Or weightlifting, powerlifting, anything like that.
Our linebacker for the Kansas City Chiefs, right? Right. Okay. Man, am I going to get myself in trouble with all that stuff?
Who cares?
Yeah, who cares? Okay. It is time for a break. And I got to fix something again. We'll see if I can get it done within 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
Thanks for checking out the Brad and John Show podcast. This segment of the show is brought to you by John Combest's book, Stalking, Harassment, Internet Trolling, A Guide to Recovering and Rebuilding After Online Attacks. It's a great reference if you've ever been the unfortunate target of a social media attack. It's available on Amazon. Just search John Combest. That's C-O-M-B-E-S-T, John Combest, and the book will show up in your search results. Now it's time for another segment of the Brad and John Show. Can you handle it?